Okay, so this is the continual of the online class this afternoon for science students. So yeah, this is a question. I'll be giving this in Flipgrid later for your assignment. Now this is a past year speaking test with uh, November 2016. For example, let's look at this question. There is an increasing number of working adults who have gone further training or higher education who would benefit from this effort. So candidate A, talk about how this can benefit the individual himself. Candidate B, how this can benefit their families. And candidate C, how this can benefit their employers. And candidate D, how this can benefit the nation. So as you can see, these are all questions which require your opinion only. It doesn't involve facts or anything. So it's just regarding family benefits. Okay. Now let's look at an example of candidates B answer. It can benefit their families. How? So the 3 points is in terms of families' pride and joy, gain the benefits received, and as motivation to other family members. Okay, we're referring to family members. How? Achieve postgrad degree. Example, degrees and training. Get salary degree, get high salary, better purchasing power, give the best for the family, because the higher your level of education, the more, the higher the salary that inshallah you are able to get. Better purchasing power here means that you are, with the higher salary, you are able to buy or get anything that you want. And give the best for the family. For example, for you men in the future, you need to provide a house, common house and groceries and everything that is required for a family. Example, there's an example there. As motivation to other family members, follow the same path. Perhaps you have younger brothers or cousins and so forth, mainly your children, where yeah, mainly their children, but when they see that their parents are pursuing their studies, it will also in a way motivate them to do well in their studies as well, and perhaps they can do better than the parents. Now, these are some useful expressions. These are some useful expressions that you can use if you have the Muat is textbook, or if you have any Muat reference books. You can go through this because all Muat reference books have this. If you do not want to buy any book, again, that's not a problem, because you can just screenshot this, and then you can print it out, either or. Again, I'll just be providing to you. It all depends on personal choice. So for example, here to introduce this first point, you can use this one, just as expressions. First of all, I propose, for a start, I would like to suggest, I would like to begin by, when you want to introduce your first point, this is not greetings, this is introducing your first point. To signal a main point here, you can use the expression of my main point is, it is important to, one important reason is, and the most important factor is. To illustrate a point, meaning you want to indicate the reason of the point. Therefore, this means that, this is because, on top of that, according to provide an example. So if your first point you're using for example, the second point you use for instance, the third point you use one example is, or take for example, or such as. Because as I mentioned in class, give us a maximum 3 main points were elaborated. So you need to have every ways to show that you do have varied vocabulary, so you can just use simply for example, for instance, or one sample example is, meaning that you do have varied vocabulary to indicate an example for for first point, second point, and perhaps the third point. Now, next will be to start a new point. From the first point, you want to go to the second point, so you can begin with secondly. My next point is, another suggestion is, next I would like to highlight. Another point that I would like to emphasize is, next I come to. Moving on to my next point, which is, so in a way, you have to ensure that the examiners are able to follow your flow of thoughts, your organization of ideas, to gain that low band 4 at least. To refer what you said, you can use the expressions of, as I have said earlier, I mentioned earlier, as I said at the beginning, I have pointed out earlier that this is more or less for the discussion. So, cause and effect, this in turn can lead to, for this reason, as a result, due to, as a consequence, so that, and because of. So all of these is to indicate the purpose of your elaboration to show your purpose, as well as to ensure that the examiner or the listener is able to follow your train of thoughts. So we use effective linkers in order for the listeners or the examiners to be able to follow your organization of ideas. It is fine if you do not speak on 3 points, as I mentioned again and again. At least have 2 points well elaborated as long as you present. Again, even though you only have 2 points, make sure it is well elaborated with the specific examples and linking back to the topic with specific examples. I really mean it, specific examples. You do not have a conclusion, but if you manage to do a conclusion, your presentation will be more structured. It doesn't mean that, teacher, I didn't have the time to do a conclusion. Does that mean that my marks will be deducted? No, because your in a way it just seems more structured and more organized when you do have a conclusion. But if you did not manage or could not manage a conclusion, again, gentle reminder, your marks come from the development of your ideas, how you present your ideas effectively with specific examples. I repeat, with specific examples. Whatever it is, it comes back to the basic. All you have to do is talk for 2 minutes. That's it. That's it. You're good. Now, this is a mock speaking test. It is difficult for young people to get the jobs they want. What could they do to prepare themselves to get the jobs they want? Error there. Talk about to improve their language proficiency. Talk about to attend leadership courses. Candidate C, talk about to acquire new skills. And candidate D, talk about to take up part-time jobs. So this is the thing that one day you will be graduate. So what can you do to prepare yourself to get the job that you want later on? So this is a mock speaking test question. So yeah, this one is the tips. The tips is pronounce. Make sure the pronunciation of your words are correct. How can you practice to ensure that your pronunciation is correct? Is by you speaking more, meaning you try to practice speaking English more no matter what. Perhaps you can just look in the mirror to see how you are. Now, pronunciation can be, you can refer to Google Translate, meaning that as you Google for a word which you do not know or unsure of how it is being pronounced, then you can just Google it, and there's audio button there, and you can listen to it, or you can just use YouTube to Google. Usually it's just Google search. That's it. You're good, inshallah. Whether you have the pronunciation of an American slang, but American accent or British accent is not a problem, as long as you talk or you speak for 2 minutes. Usage of WH questions is really important, and this has been and will be shown in the videos, the other videos on how to generate ideas and 7 ways to ponder to generate ideas. Use the terms I suggest, I agree. Do not use American slang, gonna, wanna, no. Now, no. Okay, strategies for the candidates is be prepared, meaning what this is the part you aren't able to predict what kind of a question is going to come out. So what you can do to be prepared here is just to practice speaking the language, so that when the time comes for you to practice, you will have a wide variety of vocabulary in your mind. Another way to be prepared is for you with your when you have your reference books. Go through the speaking test section and look at the answers at the back, meaning in reference books they will give you a lot of practice exercises for speaking test questions. So you can go through the questions and try to get the ideas to answer the questions at the answer at the back. That is one way for us to gain vocabulary and to gain insight on how to answer certain questions. Relax, keep your ideas clear and concise, meaning that you take a deep breath. Just relax, because when you're able to show that you try to have a poker face when you are in a speaking exam hall, because the examiner will be observing your everything. So if you are looking nervous and so forth, it is a bit difficult for you to go to a band 4. So you have to show that you're confident. There is a rubric in the assessment. When you're showing confidence, you are in the band of band 4 already. So yeah, relax. Now, engage your presentation. Voice control. Make sure you do not have a monotonous presentation. Make sure that is a high and lows of your tone, your emphasis, and so forth. Stress and tone. So it's very important. Don't let your presentation be monotonous. It's going to be boring, and it won't engage the examiner as well to listen attentively, psychologically. Yeah. Control facial expressions and gestures. Now, facial expression here is try to smile. As you are try to practice in the mirror, try to smile while you are presenting rather than making an angry face or what. So yeah, that is what it means by control facial expression. Even though you are annoyed later on for group presentation, let's say if in a way the other candidate is annoying you, or perhaps they're just bothering you, do not make an annoying face, or yeah, control your facial expression. The only way for you to control your facial expression is just by smiling, appropriately. Don't look maniacally. Okay. Now, gestures here meaning the tangan, your hands. Even though your hands are your tool, but then again, make sure that you control the gestures of your hand. Don't let it go all over the place. Now, handle questions effectively is in understanding what the question wants you to talk about, understand what it wants, how to answer it, and list the points down. Timing. Make sure to be safe when during the Muat speaking test later on. So starting from now on, actually, you have to start timing yourself in front of the mirror and present in 2 minutes. Present in 2 minutes. That is why all our presentations after this will be 2 minutes presentation. It was from the beginning, actually. 2 minutes presentation to convey whatever that it is that you have in mind when you want to express. So timing. So later on during what exam question, what test, speaking test, you need to have, for me personally, I highly suggest that you have a watch which has a stopwatch itself, so it's safer way, so that when the examiner says your time starts now, you can click at the same time, because the time starts when you start talking. So timing is important, especially for group discussion, which we will discuss later. Again, use mind mapping, organize your ideas, generate ideas through the 5 WH questions, and present. Remember the outline of a presentation, which is greeting, arrange your ideas, 1, 2, 3, and just do the conclusion. Again, if you aren't able to make a clear conclusion, it's okay as long as you're able to present your 2 to 3 points clearly and effectively. If you speak less than 2 minutes, again, it all depends on how you're able to elaborate on your points. If it is well elaborated, inshallah, 2 minutes is 1 minute and 50 seconds to 2 minutes is there already. But then again, it all depends on your pace. If you are someone who speaks fast, or if you're someone who speaks slow, it all depends on your own space. So do not compare yourself with other people. As long as you're able in within that 2 minutes, even though you present less than 2 minutes, 1 minute and 50 seconds, 1 minute and 40 seconds, but then again, you are able to present effectively with specific examples, relevant elaboration, then you're good. Then you're good. Okay? No, nothing to worry about. That's all. Thank you, everyone. So let's do this together. We can tackle speaking tests. Education is a passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. This is week 4. So let's start from today. Let's start from now onwards. Thank you, darlings. I'll see you when I see you. Try to have a good night ahead.